First, determine the position of the mesh belt dryer, big fan and natural gas heat exchange furnace. 1. According to the site conditions, the mesh belt dryer should be placed on a flat ground, and it should be kept at a distance of more than 1.5 meters from the wall surface. 2. In the direction of the air inlet of the mesh belt dryer, place a big fan, and the air outlet of the big fan square port needs to maintain a distance of 0.8 meters to 1.2 meters with the air inlet of the mesh belt dryer. 3. Mark the central axis position of the air inlet of the mesh belt dryer. Mark the central axis position of the air outlet square port of the big fan, and the central axes of the two need to be kept on the same line. 4. As shown in the video, determine the central axis of the air inlet circular port of the large fan. According to the isosceles triangle principle, measure and mark the center position of the air outlet of the natural gas heat exchange furnace. 5. Place the natural gas heat exchange furnace so that the central axis of the heat outlet of the natural gas heat exchange furnace is kept in line with the center position just marked. Second, install the air duct between the mesh belt dryer, large fan and natural gas heat exchange furnace. 1. As shown in the video, measure the length of each part of the air outlet of the large fan square port and the air inlet of the mesh belt dryer, and then use the square tube of 25 mm to weld the flange frame of the two, and according to the actual situation, for reinforcement welding. 2. Firstly, square frame should be welded on the flange at the air inlet of large fan round port. Note, screw port position of the circular flange should be marked in advance. And then length of each part of above mentioned square frame as well as of air outlet of gas exchange furnace should be measured. Flanges of both should be welded with 25 mm square tube, and should be subjected to welding reinforcement according to actual conditions. Three, frames of the two air ducts should be removed, and two air ducts should be subjected to welding reinforcement. Then, each side of the air duct should be wrapped with iron sheets, as shown in the video. Friendly reminder, in order to reduce the loss of heat energy, insulation materials is recommended to be applied at your own selection. The air duct should be well wrapped to improve heat utilization. 4. Well-wrapped air duct should be mounted onto the original position, and then screws at each part should be well tightened. Third, the top cover of the mesh belt dryer should be correctly placed as shown in the video. Fourth, feeding and discharging devices and conveying device should be well mounted onto the mesh belt dryer. One. As shown in the video, weld the buckle on the top of the mesh belt dryer, and then install the feeding conveyor in right place, taking care to keep the feeding conveyor and the mesh belt dryer aligned. 2. The homogenizer device is fixed on the feeding conveyor by screws, and then the feeding conveyor and the homogenizer are respectively connected by a chain, and the discharging feeder of the mesh belt dryer is connected with the transmission device. Lay out the discharge conveyor, and then wrap the exposed parts of the feeding conveyor. Three. Place the discharging conveyor and wrap the bare part of the feeding conveyor. 5. Installing exhaust fan for natural gas heat exchange furnace. One. Measure the distance from the center point of the exhaust pipe of the natural gas heat exchange furnace to the ground, and then calculate the height of the bottom frame of the exhaust fan. Make the bottom frame according to the size of the exhaust fan, and pay attention to the distance between the center point of the circular hole of the exhaust fan and the ground. It must be consistent with the distance between the center point of the natural gas heat exchange furnace exhaust hole and the ground. 2. Connect the exhaust fan and the natural gas heat exchange furnace with a smoke exhaust pipe. 6. Installation of natural gas heat exchange furnace inlet air duct. As shown in the video, the inlet air duct frame is welded and fixed to the natural gas heat exchange furnace. Note that the top of the intake air duct frame needs to be 75 mm lower and that top of the natural gas heat exchange furnace to facilitate the installation of the rock wool insulation board. As shown in the video, according to the actual size measured by each part of the intake air duct, cut the rock wool insulation board, and then fix the insulation board to the intake air duct frame with long screws. Pay attention to the reinforcement of each rock wool insulation board. There should be no gap between each rock wool insulation board, and it is necessary to ensure that the air inlet of the air duct is unobstructed. 7. Install natural gas burner. Insert the natural gas burner into the reserved hole and fix it on the natural gas heat exchange furnace with screws. Eight. Installation chimney of smoke exhaust fan. Using the screw, fix the chimney to the exhaust fan. Note, if necessary, make the chimney pass through outside. On-site preview of natural gas heat source installation of net belt dryer.